नमस्ते, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल एंड हेलो। मैं हूं आपकी होस्ट दर्शन कौर और आप देख रहे हैं हमारी सीरीज क्या भूलूं क्या याद करूं रिकलेक्शंस एंड इम्प्रेशंस का सेकेंड एपिसोड। In this series, we will take you through the life of Desis of North America through the eyes of our Desi seniors. उम्मीद है आपने हमारा पहला एपिसोड ज़रूर देखा होगा। उसमें हमने मुस्तफ़ा भाई को फीचर किया था और मुस्तफ़ा भाई ने हमारे साथ बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग किस्से और कहानियाँ शेयर किए। If you haven't watched that episode, you can watch it on the Facebook page of Atlanta Dunya, or you can go to www.atlantadunya.com और उसके पॉडकास्ट सेक्शन में जाकर वेबसाइट के आप वहां पर हमारा पिछला एपिसोड भी देख सकते हैं और हमारे दूसरे पॉडकास्ट और वीडियो कास्ट भी देख सकते हैं। चलिए अब हम परिक्रमा के स्टूडियो चलते हैं क्योंकि आज एक बहुत ही खास मेहमान हमारा वहां इंतजार कर रहे हैं। तो let's just go there. See you in the studio. My guest today needs no introduction. He is a stalwart. He has been a leader and trailblazer for several decades. He's the chairman and co-founder of Gandhi Foundation USA, and he has held various positions in different Indian and American organizations over the years, including as president of the National Federation of Indian American Associations. He is an honor roll IIT Delhi alumni and the recipient of several high profile awards, including, but not limited to, the prestigious Ellis Island Medal of Honor in 2003, 2006 Georgia Minority Business Neophyte Award, Ambassador for Peace by the Universal Peace Federation and the Interreligious and International Federation of World Peace in 2007, the 2007 Mahatma Gandhi Award, the Pride of India Award for Outstanding Contribution towards Betterment of Indo-US Ties in 2008, the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award also in 2008, and the latest being the Dream Forward Community Service Award in the International Affairs category by the King Center right here in Atlanta just this year. He also has a day dedicated to him by the city of Sandy Springs. February 22nd is called the Subash Razdan Day, as declared by the city of Sandy Springs. इसके अलावा भी बहुत सारे अवार्ड्स हैं। आई मीन ऑनेस्टली दिस इज जस्ट द टिप ऑफ द आइसबर्ग। इतनी अचीवमेंट्स हैं, लिस्ट इतनी लंबी है, बट आई डोंट वांट टू कीप यू फ्रॉम हियरिंग फ्रॉम द मैन हिमसेल्फ. It's someone I have always been in awe of over the last 2 decades that I have lived in Atlanta, the pride of Atlanta, Mr. Subash Razdan. Welcome to our podcast, Subhash ji.
धन्यवाद, थैंक यू। मेरी जो हिंदी है वो थोड़ी बम्बईया हिंदी है, तो लाइक बिंदास टाइप एंड अपन ओपन, but I hope you will tolerate that, and our viewers will tolerate that. And since we are all virtual now, तो थोड़ा बहुत तो इजाज़त है ना फ्लोट करने का होस्टेस के साथ?
आपकी इच्छा।
अच्छा, चलिए ठीक है। तो आपको मैं स्टार्ट ऐसे करना चाहता हूँ कि एक शैलेंद्र ने एक शेर लिखा था, बिजली गिरा के खुद बिजली से डर गए। तो आपको पता नहीं याद है कि नहीं है, ये दिल तेरा दीवाना एक पिक्चर आई थी, आप तो पैदा भी नहीं हुए थे उस टाइम, 60s में, और उसमें ये शैलेंद्र ने और शमी कपूर थे उसमें। तो बड़ा आप तो वैसी बात हो ऑ की बात कर रहे थे सुभाष राजदान की, तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। आई वॉज जस्ट लिटिल लकी टू बी एट द राइट प्लेस एट द राइट टाइम, and I had a lot of support from my family, my wife, community people. So things, and there was a lot of commitment on my part too. So चल गया ये सब. Of course, बहुत बीती अब थोड़ी रही है, लेकिन we are glad that we were able to serve the community both here as in and also in India. And thank you for the invitation, especially Kailash ji and you. And also, your last episode was a very good one. Congratulations to you and your guest, Mustafa and Mary. I thought that went very well. So congratulations.
तो सुभाष जी, सबसे पहले तो ये बात कि मैंने सुना है कि देर इज अ रिवर कॉल्ड राजदान एज वेल। अब उसका क्या राज है ये भी प्लीज बता दीजिए।
अब अगर नाम राजदान है तो मेरे नाम के बाद ही आया होगा। नहीं नहीं, लेट मी बी अ लिटिल मॉडेस्ट हियर। ऐसा तो मेरे ख्याल से तो ऐसा कोई हमारा ancestral connection नहीं है, but you're right. There is a river by the name Razdan, which flows from north east of Armenia and comes down towards Turkey, borders Turkey, and फिर Aryan Basin में आता है, just before Caspian Sea. इनफैक्ट अगर देखी जाए तो आपकी पैदाइश भी शायद वहीं से है, आपकी एंसेस्ट्री की पैदाइश भी वहीं से, बिकॉज द गार्डन ऑफ ईडन इज राइट एट द बेसन ऑफ राजदान रिवर. तो देखिएगा आप कहाँ कहाँ हमारी पहुँचे, यू नो. No, but to my best knowledge, we have no connection. We are from Kashmir.
Right.
But वो माइग्रेशन कैसा हुआ, वहाँ कैसे गया नाम, या वहाँ से लोग आए, that I still don't know. At some point, I would like to get into it, but we are Brahmins from Kashmir, and I have traced my roots till my great great grandfather, and his name was Balakram. And there's a very small village in Kashmir called Bargam, which is now integrated with Kashmir, Srinagar. And they have this train station there, the international airport is there. And Bargam is now more or less part of greater Srinagar. So my grandfather, great great grandfather, I believe they were landlords. My grandfather, Bhagwan Das, was a headmaster in a missionary school in Srinagar. And then my dad, after getting his education in Lucknow, he worked in Delhi during the refugee crisis of 1947, and उसके बाद he moved to Baroda, Godhra, and so on. And in fact, I was born in Ahmedabad. तो मेरा मिडिल नेम सुभाष पटेल राजदान हो गया, सो पटेल भी कह सकते हैं मेरे को आप. आई एम जस्ट जोकिंग, बट मेनी ऑफ माय न्यूयॉर्क फ्रेंड्स कॉल मी सुभाष पटेल. So, but yeah, our ancestry is from Srinagar, Kashmir. आपको देखने से ऐसा लगता है कि आप भी कश्मीर के ही हैं.
But thank you for that compliment. I really find Kashmiri women so beautiful. So that's
So are
thank you.
you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. लेकिन मुझे इस वक्त तो आपसे बहुत कुछ पूछना है. So आपने अभी बताया कि आप
कोई
कश्मीर
जुर्म तो नहीं किया ना मैंने कुछ.
नहीं, लेकिन मुझे आपसे ये पूछना है कि आप यू जस्ट मेंशन दैट यू आर फ्रॉम कश्मीर. तो कश्मीर से अटलांटा तक की जर्नी कैसे हुई? एंड आई हर्ड एक्चुअली दैट इट वाज ऑलमोस्ट a coincidence or an accidental way in which you made it to Atlanta. So please उसके बारे में कुछ बताएं.
वैसे काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है ये स्टोरी. When I finished my engineering from IIT Delhi, तो 1975 में मैंने काफ़ी जगह अप्लाई किया था for MBA, including Cornell, Stanford, and so almost all the Harvard, and almost all the universities gave me admission, including Harvard, which gave me a deferred admission after 2 years of management experience. But assistantship nahi mil raha tha. USA was also going through some kind of a recession that time. This is the time when President Jimmy Carter had taken over, and then the interest rates were around 18%. So USA was going through some uh, economic tough times. So यहाँ से थोड़ा ट्रस्ट लेवल थोड़ा घर में कम था मेरे पिताजी का मेरे पर. वो कह रहे थे जब तक तू शादी नहीं करेगा तब तक हम तुम्हें बाहर नहीं जाने देंगे.
I can
तो
understand why.
ओके, सो फिर बाहर तो जाना था. आई वाज वेरी कीन टू कम टू यूएसए. सो वी गॉट मैरिड इन अगस्त ऑफ 75. So, and the interesting part is, after marriage and honeymoon and all that, now I was working at that time with J Engineering and Usha Fans as their management training. But what happened was, I got my booking done so that I was the first one to come home from. We got married in Srinagar, so I had to come home from Srinagar to Delhi. So I took a flight, एंड क्योंकि शादी हुई थी तो थोड़ी बहुत डावरी शावरी मिली थी, तो हमें 3-in-1 रेडियो भी मिला था, टेप रिकॉर्डर नेशनल का था. देन सैमसंगाइट का ब्रीफ केस मिला था. तो आई वाज ग्रैपलिंग विद दैट इन द फ्लाइट. सो देयर वाज दिस अमेरिकन प्रोफेसर सिटिंग राइट नेक्स्ट टू मी. तो हंसने लगा मेरे को, ये यंग फेलो ट्राइंग टू कैरी अ टेप रिकॉर्डर इन अ प्लेन एंड ऑल दैट. तो फिर कैन आई हेल्प यू, मैंने कहा प्लीज़ इफ़ यू डोंट माइंड, तो उसने हेल्प कर दी. तो आई फॉर्चुनेटली आई वाज सिटिंग नेक्स्ट टू हिम. So it turned out to be that he was a former head of the Department of Accounting at Georgia State University School of Business. So बातें बातों में ये मैंने बातें शुरू हुई तो I just said I have applied to so many places, universities, I've got admission everywhere. Assistantship कहीं नहीं मिल रही है. So he says, have you heard of Georgia State University? मैंने कहा ना. कहने यार तुम्हारा कहने did you pass your GMAT exam? मैंने कहा yes. What was the score? I said pretty good. So कहने then you don't know Georgia State? मैंने कहा ना. Anyway, उसका क्या हुआ था? The coincident part is that those days in USA you could catch flights within 1 minute of your departure time. So he went 1 hour before in Srinagar. He thought that was enough, but they wanted 2 hours before, so they bumped him the first day. Second day he got water pollution, and he had stomach infection. They call it bacterial infection. So he could not come second time. Third time he was sitting next to me, excuse me. So that's how we started talking. And then he said, "ये 75 की August की बात है." So then he said, I am going to go to Sri Lanka from Delhi, and then you should hear from me. So around October 2, he said, you have been admitted at Georgia State University, but you are late for the fall quarter. So that's how I came here. And then when I came here in April of 76. But I stayed with him and he kept me. He was a very good host. So he kept me for a while. And then I had to fend for myself later on. So that is how I came to Georgia. Otherwise, कहीं और पड़े होते हैं.
So,
And
so,
then I've stayed in Georgia. I loved it so much. I enjoyed it. And this has become now main home.
so कहते हैं ना हमारी अच्छी किस्मत थी जहे नसीब कि आप अटलांटा आ गए.
Shukriya, Shukriya. But Atlanta has been nice. The community has been very friendly and acceptability and so on. And we have all lived happily and lovingly.
So speaking of community, so you are involved in a lot of community organizations, different initiatives, nonprofits. So how did all that come about? How did you get involved in these different or various organizations, including the Gandhi Foundation?
That's also an interesting story. First of all, to give you a right perspective of the Atlanta community, I came here in 76, but many of our elders had already been here. And I'll name a few: Dr. P.V. Rao, K.K. Vijay, Jagan Bhargave, Chawla, and quite a few more people, Sham Kapoor. So these people were all, Dr. Manocha, these were there. So in around 72, Dr. Chawla formed an informal organization, something like IACA, but Indian Community. Then uh, it started, but it was a very informal one. Then a formal organization came in much later, in 80s, when they bought a building, IACA building 83. But in between, when I came, this is a very nice, interesting episode. Georgia Tech used to show Indian movies
Mhm.
through their India Club. So somehow they had gotten hold of the few Indian Americans who were here. तो हमारा भी नाम उनके लिस्ट में पहुंच गया था.
Mhm.
तो हमें आता थी उनके फिर फ्लायर्स, वी वुड गेट देयर फ्लायर्स कि ये मूवी आ रही है, राज कपूर की संगम आ रही है और व्हाटएवर दिस इज दिस. एंड आइए आप, अच्छा उसमें लिखते थे, इट इज़ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, उसमें लिखते थे इंडियंस 25 सेंट्स एंड फॉरेनर्स 75 सेंट्स. अब
Wow.
देखिए आप यूएसए में हैं, इन्होंने अमेरिकन को फॉरेनर्स बना दिया और हमें इंडियन बना देता. हम लोग को वी वर वाचिंग दिस मूवी फॉर 25 सेंट्स और बेचारे अमेरिकन लोग 75 सेंट्स देके वो देखते थे. एनीवे दैट वाज आल्सो अ सोर्स ऑफ गैदरिंग, कनेक्टिंग. So I remember, recall that we used to see nice movies at Georgia. Around that time, Dr. Sohan Manacha was also screening movies. So then I became a president of IACA. I did a banquet for them, cultural part of the banquet in 86. And then in 87, I was their president. And then, of course, once you got involved, then later on, I got drafted by NFIA, National Federation, फिर वहाँ एक्टिविटी शुरू हो गई. एंड देन गांधी फाउंडेशन में आई गॉट इन्वॉल्व बिकॉज वी गॉट अ गांधी स्टैच्यू हियर, एंड to maintain that we wanted a local organization. So Gandhi Foundation, again, courtesy Dr. Giriraj Rao, he was a scientist, research scientist at Coca-Cola.
Mhm.
So he drafted me into Gandhi Foundation. But I had a very interesting meeting with him. That time I did not know him. He was active in IACA. So we were at uh, opera at Fox Theatre. So there was one this elderly gentleman here. He was about 15, 20 years senior to me. He started snoring. So I told my wife, इसको सोना था तो मेरे साथ ही बैठ के क्यों सोया उसने? Why is he snoring? Then she told me to shut up, now don't make noise. Anyway, we carried on. Then intermission में बात शुरू हुई. बात करते हैं, then he said, well, there is an IACA, you should come. And then I got involved with IACA, and then he became my mentor. He was such a noble person, and he really encouraged me, and therefore he was the co-founder along with me of Gandhi Foundation USA, which was founded in 1997. So that's how I got involved in Gandhi Foundation. And then we have tried to spread the message of Gandhi and King through Gandhi Foundation, and it is all the more relevant these days, considering we just lost Congressman John Lewis
Right,
and C.T. Vivian, and human rights issues, civil rights issues are going on here. So the message is very stark right now.
right. So, speaking of different kind of community service now, and I have a personal story to share on this.
Sure, love to
Um,
hear.
I got here in 1998. So obviously, back in those days, there was no Netflix, Prime Video, no cable channels and stuff like that. So it was all the usual. There were some American channels that I used to watch. तो एक दिन ऐसे ही I switched on the TV and Tuesday evening था मुझे याद है, and then this Indian program came on और उसमें songs भी थे. Then there was this beautiful Kashmiri lady reading the news and community के बारे में बात कर रहे थे and all that. मुझे तो ऐसा लगा desert में mirage. I'm like, wait, I pinched myself. Wait, how come I'm seeing like Bollywood songs here and stuff. And the program was Namaste Bombay. And then you actually had everything to do with that program. So please tell us about that program.
पहले तो ये बताइए आपको कैसे पता चला कश्मीरी औरत थी?
वो लंबे लंबे earrings.
She was wearing the Kashmiri earrings, long ones. Those are called ators and dejors, and that is like their wedding band.
Mhm.
So yeah, so after they wear it after the marriage. तो मैरिज के बाद उन्होंने वो पहनना शुरू किया. और वैसे शी हैड बिकम वेरी नाइस आफ्टर मैरिज, क्योंकि उन्होंने बचपन में मेरी बहुत पिटाई कर रखी थी.
Oh, really?
हाँ, वो शी
Childhood romance then.
yes, but as a family friend, she was very athletic, both ही, and in her high school, there's hardly any sports trophy she has not won. Like each year, she'll get about 10, 12 trophies. Long jump, high jump, steeple, this. So. तो एंड आई वॉज अ लिटिल रोली पोली, थोड़ा सा लेथार्जी थी हमारे बॉडी में. तो अब कभी कभी वो इकट्ठे बैठ के खेलते थे, वी वुड बी पार्टनरिंग इन बैडमिंटन. वो शी डिड नॉट लाइक टू लूज, और यहाँ हम जरा दौड़ने में थोड़ा थोड़ा कमज़ोर थे. तो वो फिर वही उसी बैडमिंटन की रैकेट से हमारी पिटाई करती थी. तो फिर हमने कहा अच्छा बच्चू, हमारा भी टाइम आएगा. तो
Yeah.
एनीवे, नो, जोक्स अपार्ट.
I'm
सो
gonna, Subhashji, I'm going to bring her on this show and hear her side of the story as well.
ओके,
Don't
ऑलराइट,
worry about that.
गुड गुड. एनीवे, सो फिर ये हुआ कि while I was got involved with IACA community and all that, in New York, they used to run a show called BBN, Bombay Broadcasting Network. और उसमें वहाँ भी एक वो गिरिराज करके था एक, और उसकी वाइफ थी अनीता राज, वेरी टैलेंटेड. सो दे वर रनिंग दिस शो, एंड इट वाज अ वेरी पॉपुलर शो इनफैक्ट ओवर देयर, way ahead of everyone. So we connected, and they told me, can you run our tape in Atlanta? I said, I have no idea. This is the first time I'll be. Can I हम tape आपको ready में तैयार करके दे देंगे, तो you run that tape. हमने कहा ठीक है. So I started. They would give me a pre-packaged tape of BBN, and I was very well done. It was beautifully done. बट प्रॉब्लम ये होती थी कि जब वो बेचते थे उन दिनों में फेडेक्स वेडेक्स तो इतना नहीं था. कभी आता था कभी नहीं आता था, एंड आई यूज्ड टू हैव लॉट ऑफ नाइटमेयर विद दीस टेलीविजन studios. मेरे टेप नहीं आया, आई वुड से यू रिपीट द लास्ट वन एंड दिस. सो आई सेड नहीं नहीं ऐसा करते हम अपना ही बना लेते हैं. सो दैट्स हाउ वी launched Namaste Bombay. And because around that time there was a movie that had come, Namaste Salam, it was Namaste Salam Namaste, right? एक मूवी आई थी सलाम नमस्ते, तो हमने कहा इस टाइम नमस्ते बॉम्बे करेंगे, सलाम बॉम्बे ना सलाम बॉम्बे, एंड देन आई सेड वी कॉल इट नमस्ते बॉम्बे. सो वी डिड दैट, and since I was more interested in Bollywood, so we started uh, our own show called Namaste Bombay. So this was around 92, 93, and we ran it for a while. And I did not have the money to pay for professional anchors like Dippy Gore and Kaur and all that. But so I told her, come on, my dear wife, bad job, camera ke samne. And somehow we managed to produce a show. And since it was the only show going on here, people were really looking forward to enjoying that show. And it was very well received. Yeah.
I mean, it's left an impact on me that so many years later I still remember
I'm
it.
glad. I'm glad.
Speaking of Bollywood, just little off track question. Who are your who? I mean, maybe you have more than one. Who are your favorite Bollywood celebrities?
Yeah, see, my last few years of schooling, I have been. My dad was in the government, so he was traveling all over. Sometimes Delhi, sometimes Madhya Pradesh, Jabalpur, other places. So last few years of my schooling was in Bombay. So we were living in Bandra, and there was a very famous uh, another Razdan by the name Karan Razdan. He was into production direction. अब वो भी बैंड्रा में रहते थे. तो उनकी जो बॉलीवुड की इनविटेशंस कभी कभी हमारे घर में पोस्टमैन छोड़ जाता था. सो आई वुड जस्ट pick up those invitation and go and see these film stars. So I developed a lot of affinity for these film stars, especially the Kapoor clan. I think there was a hotel in Marine Drive. I guess Natraj. Was it Natraj? I think so. Natraj, yeah, कुछ था Marine Drive पर था.
मैं दिल्ली की कुड़ी हूँ.
I
So
mean, I'm Delhi too, but Delhi Bombay. So there, I would go. Then I met all these Bollywood folks. So anyway, to answer your question, I had an affinity for the Bollywood. I think if I, they have produced some great stars, especially the trio of Dilip Kumar, Devanand, and Raj Kapoor. But I personally was very fond of uh, Dilip Kumar. His, the movies around that time, like Ganga Jamna, Leader, what lovely song, beautiful. In terms of actress, again, Nutan, Nargis, Madhubala, these were my time area film stars. So I think Nutan was very well. But my most favorite movie, all time favorite movie that I still rank very high compared to, was Devanand's Guide.
yes.
I think it was made in 60s by the Raman Devanand.
I don't know.
That movie was way ahead of time. Beautiful movie, very bold subject to take up that time when divorce was still a taboo or separation was a taboo. And he did it, and then he put it very nicely. Did you see that movie, Guide? Have you
I
seen it?
have. It's
Oh,
one of
beautiful.
the golden
All
movies.
time, all time. I've seen it and I've enjoyed it, and I still enjoy it. Yeah. So these are some of the things.
Cool. Now moving on to another achievement of yours. It's to do with the Olympics in
Uh,
Atlanta in 1996.
uh,
So I heard that you are the only Indian American to have marched with the Indian contingent at the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. So उसके पीछे वाली राज का पर्दाफाश भी कर दीजिए.
अरे क्या यार, बड़े परेशान कर रहे हो आप मेरे को. It's a little embarrassing, but I think you're right. If you use the word Indian with a hyphen American, I am probably the only Indian American to have marched with an Indian contingent. So in 1996 we had Olympics in Atlanta, and I was very lucky to be drafted as an attaché for the Indian contingent, which was a strong contingent of about 110 folks. So our chef de mission, chief of the mission, uh, he was a little late. So he said, "I'm coming a little late. So why don't you officiate as the chief of the mission also?" So I was acting chef de mission, but he was not there at the time when the Olympics were about to start. Credential. So my job was to provide credentials to all the Indian contingent. So if you bump across any 1996 Indian Olympian, तो आप उनको कह सकते हैं भाई ज़रा आप अपना वो फिर से चेक करिएगा क्रेडेंशियल्स, उसमें जो पीछे के सिग्नेचर्स हैं, अप्रूवल सिग्नेचर्स, वो सुभाष राजदान के हैं. A little something to brag about. But yes, that was how. And then, as part of every Olympic opening ceremony, each contingent parades, walks, marches in that thing. Then they all do that. And so I was part of the Indian contingent. So that's how uh, I was involved. And then we all congregated at the Turner Stadium, and then huge celebrations, fireworks. And if you remember, Muhammad Ali lit the lamp. So it's a lifetime experience, dazzling. And gosh, I'm so fortunate to be part of that. I'll never forget that. So it was wonderful. And I personally, as an attache, I had very good credentials. Um, so I was also part of the closing ceremony. So that's the story. But it's not that we just got it like that. When we were marketing for Olympics into Atlanta, due to my close ties with the mayor of Atlanta, we produced a marketing video for Atlanta, cross cultural, ethnic, multicultural. And so, once again, my tremendous support came from my wife, Raj. She conducted all these parades for that videotape marketing of the. So India was I mean, not India, USA, Atlanta was projected as a multicultural city. That's the first time it was really projected that way. And therefore, Atlanta got it. And then, I was kind of recommended from both sides, from the Atlanta Olympic Committee here, as well as the Indian Mission Embassy in DC. So I was lucky.
गुड, मुझे लग रहा है कि नेक्स्ट टाइम आई मीट यू मैं भी ऑटोग्राफ ले लूंगी,
अरे
क्योंकि
नहीं, ऐसे
वो सिग्नेचर की बात
ऐसे
की ना, तो सेलिब्रिटी ऑटोग्राफ की.
96 की बात होती तो यस, अब तो इट्स ऑल हिस्ट्री. बट स्टिल, इट्स अ वेरी हैप्पी मोमेंट, वेरी वेरी प्राउड मोमेंट ऑल्सो.
It's an honor indeed. Coming to some of your later on achievements, like kuch saal pehle. So what most people may not know is that you were actually behind us getting the Indian consulate here in Atlanta, in the city of Sandy Springs. तो अब वो कहानी भी बता दीजिए.
As I just to say, I was behind that. That's not an accurate statement. Lot of different groups were working very hard to get the Atlanta consulate, the Indian consulate in Atlanta. So many groups had made many efforts. So and you know, Gandhi Foundation too, and so on. There was, I'm trying to remember, there was a national convention of physicians, API, Association of Physicians from America, India. So they had invited the Indian minister that time, Mr. Vailar Ravi. So we hosted Vailar Ravi for lunch. When I say we, means Gandhi Foundation. So we had given him a couple of petitions that time. One was to have a direct flight to India from Atlanta. And the other one was to have a consulate. Uh, that was that kind of was a catalyst in the last round. Earlier, again, a lot of efforts were made. In the last round, when that became a catalyst, then I believe sometime in 2008 or 2009, Ambassador Ronan Sen started showing some interest. And at that time, the Consul General of India in Houston was S.M. Gawai, you Shashikant Gawai. So he also was interested in moving forward. So they contacted me, and then we had a little get together here. And before that, there was a meeting. I was at that time. I was president of the Asian American Chamber of Commerce of Georgia. So I had co-authored a bill, Indo-Georgia Friendship Bill. I believe it was Resolution 1248 or 1298 or something like that. So that was then. So Ambassador Ronan Sen came for accepting that bill from the governor. I believe it was Governor Barnes. But that's the time he pulled this great pleasant surprise and said, "Hey, we're going to have a consulate in Atlanta." That was wonderful. Then he said, when the celebrations for that bill got over, then he said, "Ajit, now we need to uh, look for some venues." So then after that, Consul General Gawai would be in touch with me. So around that time, I had become good friends with Mayor Eva Galambos of Sandy Springs. So she pushed harder than I pushed for this place venue. And so we had a meeting of Ronan Sen, his wife Kalpana ji, uh, Consul General Gawai, then Eva Galambos and her husband, Dr. John Galambos, and all that. Very nice, and they made a presentation to Ambassador Ron Sen as a key to Sandy Springs. So at the time of that presentation, it just slipped out of Ron Sen's uh, mouth that, hey, now that I am a citizen of Sandy Springs, maybe we should have a consulate here.
Nice.
So, and that was the beginning of that. What is interesting is that the room where we were all meeting and discussing and talking, a few weeks later, some drunk went into that restaurant and rammed his car, they wrecked that room. So they're taking a picture of that. So I sent that to Ronaldson. I said, hey, this is the room we were having. So are you sure you want to go to Sandy Springs? He said, no, 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 we'll go to Sandy Springs. So that's how it started. So we have a consulate in Sandy Springs, which is a very nice facility and very conveniently located.
I feel very grateful because it's really been very helpful to be able to go and I just recently had somebody who needed to get back to before the pandemic
Yeah.
started, needed to get an emergency passport to get back
No,
to the
currently they've been working very hard with respect to that evacuation plans
right.
both ways. So they've been working overtime under the leadership of Swati, Council General Swati.
And their services are like really really great because I mean my personal experience has always been wonderful. Like over the years, had to go there so many times with different things. आपके लिए मेरे पास तो I don't know. I think there is a long list of questions, but unfortunately, again, समय का तकाजा. So I have one last questions, and I'm just very curious. I mean, not just curious. This is something like kind of like advice that we need from you. So I have been involved with different organizations over the years as well, volunteering. Even in some roles. So I'll be honest. Some experience has been positive. Some has not been all that great. So, what is your advice for the younger generation of leaders who are getting involved in community organizations? With your experience, what advice would you give us?
Actually, honestly speaking, in my personal opinion, our younger generation is a lot more smarter than our generation. So they really don't need any of my advice. In fact, we should take their advice. I'll tell you why. And I'm serious. Uh, we came from our cocoons, our villages, and all that from India, and we were very conscious of photo opportunities, photo optics. And if I am with a senator, I would push my way self and come in front so that I could be having a picture with senator or XYZ. Uh, so many of our leaders, my generation leaders, they were very conscious of microphone grabbing and not that they were not doing work, they were also doing some work, but I think the the cart before their horse was photo optics. This is my personal experience. Somebody else may disagree. The way I look at it is that the horse should be service, whether it is youth service, whether it's senior citizen service, etc., etc., etc. Then the photo optics will be the automatic byproduct of that. Once it is known to the governor that these guys are working very hard, let's say for corona pandemic. See, this is a very good example. So many organizations are working so hard for corona, currently corona pandemic. You don't need a photo optics will be naturally there. But my generation was very keen for photo optics and be able to be in that. But our younger generation are very smart, professional lawyers, professional doctors, and so on. They are more mission oriented. That's the good news. The bad news is sometimes they shun us too heavily and they keep us too far aside because of whatever experiences. They think we have been a bunch of jokers, so they want to stay away. So there's a little gap. So that gap should be bridged. A little bit of our advice is necessary, and a little bit of their looking for advice is also necessary. But we should not interfere too much with them, their activities. I mean, their official activities, whatever office bearing capacity, and they should also not shun us too much. So a little bit of give and take is allowed and expected. But whatever we do, the most important part is the service should be oriented towards our current land of settlement, which is America, and also not to forget the land of our origin, which is India. So as long as we bridge this gap in a happy union, happy medium, nothing like it. But I am very optimistic about our youngsters. They are very well known professionals. They are academically highly geared, doctors, lawyers, engineers, teachers, so on. So I am not worried about them. They're going to do very well. It's just that they should keep the continuity as long as they keep it up.
I think that's great advice, and I would also advocate that maybe, I mean, I do believe that for all, that our seniors do have a lot of important wisdom and experience to share with us, and
Absolutely.
that there should be a an outreach from our end as well to achieve that.
It's a two-way thing, and if we bridge it rightly, we'll all benefit. Of course, currently, I mean, you mentioned youth, but don't ignore the seniors. We have a lot of senior citizen issues here, and not just Atlanta, all over. So that is something, and also compounded with the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't know where we are going to drift about with respect to the pandemic, but I wish all of you to be safe and well and be strong and deal with it. Listen to the advice like CDC, WHO, and and of course, must wear the mask, social distancing. All those things are very important. We must do that.
Thank you so much. And Subhaji, like I said, it was such a pleasure to talk with you. And I mean, I think I said at the beginning of the program, I'm really truly honored to be having this
Well,
conversation.
it was an honor for me to be your guest, and thank you. You are looking very pretty in your white dress, and that's my favorite color. So keep it up. All right.
Thank you.
Uh,
Mine too. Thank you.
all
So,
right. Good.
थैंक यू सो मच एंड इसके साथ ही मैं दर्शन कौर आपसे विदा लेती हूँ आप आई होप यू रियली एंजॉयड लिसनिंग टू सुभाष जी's stories of his experience over the past few decades here in Atlanta और अगर आपको हमारा ये एपिसोड अच्छा लगे तो प्लीज़ इसको लाइक करें शेयर करें कमेंट करें वी अप्रिशिएट ऑल योर कमेंट्स ऑल योर फीडबैक तो अगली बारी मिलते हैं तब तक के लिए आज्ञा दीजिए हंसते रहिए मुस्कुराते रहिए नमस्कार
Shabba khair. नमस्कार। थैंक यू।